many speeds in that transmission?
That's a 4-speed transmission. This is an original 442. You know what 442 stands for?
Oh yeah, four
barrel.
Wait. 4 barrel, 4 speed, and dual exhaust.
That's right. 4 barrel, 4-speed, dual exhaust, baby.
What do you say, Dave?
How's Jake today?
Good, man. How's Dave today?
Well, you know, considering the reality, I'm just putting everything away, getting stuff cleaned up. So I got a place to store my car. I had to clean the mess out of my trailer from the burnout, and it was all full of fuel and oil and stuff from the other truck.
So what are you doing, Dave?
Dave is installing the SS emblems that I forgot to put on 3 years ago. And I recently acquired a new set, and
Which way are they supposed to go?
the Chevy emblem is supposed to be in the beginning here.
Okay.
Of course, we've discovered that via research of the internet, and we looked at a half a dozen of them to make sure that we were going to install it in the correct direction and in the correct position.
What if they were all wrong?
Well, then I guess we'll be wrong with them. I mean,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with going with the crew, you know, as long as the crew has got forward momentum and we want to go forward, right?
Right.
So I'm judging it's going to go right about here.
Yep. Wait, how close is it to the other side?
Well, let's take a look and see. I'm going to go with 1.25 inches, something like
That's
that.
a thumb distance?
I'm going to say it's to the first crevice of the first bend of my finger.
What about to the door
Right
edge?
there.
All
Right there to right there.
And door edge?
And door edge is
Door
going
edge.
to go same thing.
Oh, finger
About
to...
this finger to finger, about the
Okay,
same.
that's cool.
Door edge this baby about, I'm going to say that's right there. It's about right, and so is that.
Yep. All right.
So, we start by putting the corner where we think it's going to be. Right there and right there. And then we bring her back here. And then you can stand back and tell me
Right.
where I'm at straight-wise.
Okay, let's see. That looks a little. Drop your left hand a bit. Look, your right hand just a bit. A little more. Right there. Right there. Block it.
Friday Auto Service.
Hey, Dave, it's Jake. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, you got like 2 minutes right now?
What's up?
I want to do a quick interview on the phone right now since we're going in this lockdown thing. I got you on speakerphone. I got the GoPro rolling. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So, Dave, how's it going, man?
Well, you know, busy. Yeah, I am considered an essential business. I'm auto service and repair. People not only are using the opportunity that they're not going to work to get their cars serviced, but they realize that no matter what, they got to have transportation. So, you know, this kind of a business, I don't have a lot of people in here. I don't have a lot of contact. My biggest deal is actually talking to the customers, and usually we can manage to stay 6 feet apart. I'm in an opportunity here where my hands are so dirty most of the time that I have to wash my hands before I touch my face anyway.
Right.
I mean, you know, auto mechanics, my hands are black and greasy. I'm not touching my face. You know?
Now, you're a drag racer, so you go in a straight line. So let's talk about racing, Dave, because, you know, there's race fans that are stuck in the garage, not going anywhere, and they got to build their cars. So when you're talking straight line racing versus road course, all right, what would be the advantage to learn the knowledge that you have in straight line racing that they could be applied to road racing?
Well, the thing in drag racing that's probably not as critical in road racing is the starting line. When you start the starting line, a couple of thousandths of a second don't make a big deal. But in a drag race, a couple of hundredths or a couple of thousandths is a big deal. So if you're sitting at home with nothing to do, why I think there's a computer-generated tree that you can bring on your computer, and then you hold like your space bar down, and then when you let go of it, you're checking your reaction time against your light. So there's that sort of thing that you can practice at home if you're at home right now, if you're not working on your car per se. Some of these guys have been working on their cars for so long they're done and just sitting there itching, waiting to go out. And of course, it looks like the governor put a 30-day lockdown on us, so we're not going to be able to drag race unless they come up with the fact that they acknowledge the cure and the CDC lifts our circumstances. And in which case, because drag racing is an outside sport, so we can go outside and drag race all day. There's no inside building. We can all stay 6 feet apart. I don't think that's going to be a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Although filling the stands might become an issue with everybody sitting next to each other. So, I don't know how that's going to work, but I think we should still be able to race, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
How would you give advice to focus your mental game for the racing season this year?
Well, like I pointed out, there's things that you can do to get your mental status up. One of them is practicing your leave on the tree. Another one is working with the program that you're going to use to load the tune on your car so you get more familiar with it, so you're at the track and something happens, you know right away what's going on. You've got experience in the software, you know how to manipulate it if a glitch occurs. Those are a couple of the things that you can do at home. Another thing is looking into where your fuel supply is going to be located this year. As the fuel prices drop, it may be more advantageous to buy a 55-gallon drum of race fuel if the price comes down enough, as opposed to going out and buying it for $7 a gallon or $8 a gallon or whatever you're paying.
Right.
There's a lot of things that you could be doing right now since you're stuck at home, preparing your car, cleaning, polishing, getting stuff done that you didn't think you were going to have time for, or you're going to put it off till next year. Now's the time to do it. But a perfect example of that is I just switched my car over from nitrous to turbo. I completely did a complete turbo build on my white ton of bricks. So in the process of doing that, I had to put an intercooler in front of the radiator, and I realized that my cooler for my transmission was up there as well, and it occurred to me that that's not going to be enough cooling capacity for my transmission. So I got online and I ordered a transmission cooler with an electric fan that I can mount in the back, between the frame rails, and take care of all that stuff and get it out of there right now, because there's going to be a lot more heat up in front there. Turbos build heat because there's got so much exhaust pipe running around up there. Even though I'm wrapping everything. And of course, that's another thing too. If you really want to kill some time and you want to do something productive, if your headers aren't wrapped in your hot rod, you can buy a couple rolls of wrap for $25 online, and you can wrap all your exhaust and stuff like that and get all that stuff done and out of the way, so when you're at the track and you need to do some service between rounds, you're not burning your hands.
Yeah.
Everything runs a lot cooler. The air going into the motor is generally cooler because it's not pulling from all that heat that's trapped underneath the hood. There's a lot of advantages to wrapping a set of headers. So one of the other things that you just never find time to do that now is going to present itself as an opportunity for you to do it.
So Dave, hey, don't want to take up too much of your time here, but I do appreciate you spending the time here with the viewers, giving us some helpful tips. Just keep yourself safe out there. And what was the joke with the mechanics? Before you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands? And doctors, they wash their hands after, right?
Yeah, the doctors wash before and after, and the mechanics just wash their hands after.
All right, man. You have a good day, Dave. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It's important that we all, just keep going and not let this take advantage of our psyche, and come to terms with the fact that the good Lord has given us all a little opportunity to spend some time with our friends and our families, and stay home and not break our back.
Okay. So tell me about the axles real quick, Dave, because now we got some light.
Okay, so the axle's got water because the seal is right here. So everything from this side can get to the wheel bearing, the axle bearing, and because the seal is here, it'll stop not only the oil from inside the differential from coming out and leaking out, but it'll stop the moisture and water and stuff that gets in here, getting through the bearing and getting into the differential. So the axles, I had to take them to a shop and have new bearings pressed on the axles. There's a flange, and that flange, because the bearing's pressed on the axle, that flange bolts up here, and that's what holds the axle in. A lot of the later cars have a C-clip on the inside, and that's what holds the axle, but not on this one. So the bearing has to be pressed. On the later cars, the bearing gets pushed into this sit-up right here. There's an axle seal behind it. You push the bearing in, you put the C-clip on, you pull it back a little bit, and you push the pin in, but this is a different design. This is the old school design. This is an original 65 axle, where the bearing is actually pressed onto the axle shaft with a retainer, and then that plate is what keeps that axle from coming out. But this bearing right here was completely rusted solid, and it would not even turn by hand.
So which axle design, I know that since they upgraded it, right?
Yeah.
Which axle design just from old
Well, this
school,
is
new
still a
school?
semi-floating axle.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. The newer style axles came out probably maybe 5 years after this was made, and that's where they have a C-clip type axle.
Okay.
And this is the old school. In fact, the older ones, the 12 bolts, even had this kind of a setup. But anything after, I think, in the mid-70s, they changed it to a C-clip type. Normally, this kind of setup is only used in like a Ford 9-inch. A Ford 9-inch, you have to do the same thing. You have to press the bearings on the axles and then press a keeper on there, and everything goes back in there like this.
Cool. All right, well,
I'm off to the shop to pick up the axles.
All right.
You have a wonderful day, Jake.
all right, you too, Dave. Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.